You know what, BioWare? I can respect that. As technology gets closer and closer to the uncanny valley, people just say, maybe we should stop. But no. You just gave them the finger and said, fuck it, let's see where this goes. What's up guys, it's me Zero Kitsune, and today I want to ask a question. Do games in a franchise deserve to be compared to previous titles in that franchise even when they're not direct sequels? Now this question came to me because I've been looking at Mass Effect Andromeda more and more, kinda trying to hype myself up, especially since I plan to do a review when it comes out. That'll be a lot of fun. But I don't know, that spark just, the more and more I see of Mass Effect Andromeda, I just don't get that spark. But I dug down deep inside myself and came up with both some points for the no to that question and to the yes, and I just wanted to, put it out there, and maybe in the comment section you tell me what your opinions on them. For the no, I have the point that if you compare the game to, if you always compare the game to its previous titles, even when it's trying to do something new, you just get less original ideas out of these companies. This is why big companies play it so safe with their titles. They don't want to disappoint an already established player base, and they don't want to try anything new. They're worried about not getting, their cash revenue back for sinking thousands, millions, billions of dollars into a title. They don't want to take that risk. So there's that. Then you have the big point that, and I think this is the biggest one in there, you can't make the same lightning strike twice with a different god. And what I'm saying by that is, these are games made by different studios. They aren't the same people who made the original trilogy in terms of Mass Effect Andromeda. It's not the same people, so I can't really justify expecting them to create the exact same product, or generally the same product with maybe some improvements, which is what I wanted Andromeda to be back in the day before we even knew what the game was and just had, a working title, them saying there's another Mass Effect game coming. So I think it's not fair to expect a whole different studio to create the same product. And then there's the last point I want to make for the no's, and that is that sometimes an improvement can lead to a different experience that just doesn't mesh. And what I'm saying there is particularly the movement. The movement of the combat is swifter. Your Shepard jumping, or no, not Shepard, but the Pathfinder jumping around, dashing, floating in the air, and this takes away from the very militaristic kind of combat system that was in the original, 2 and 3 in particular. 1, its combat was but in 2 and 3 you had taking cover, positioning allies at particular choke points, and fighting from there. It was very military style, and not gonna say realistic, but you get what I'm saying there. I don't know if you're gonna end up doing that in Andromeda. I haven't seen it from any of the gameplay stationing your squad mates anywhere. I've just seen them emphasizing the Pathfinder jumping around and shooting stuff. And that's all good, but to me it's not Mass Effect. On the other hand, now this is the yes, a big point is that the reason why your game's getting so much attention is because of the title attached to it, and I think you should kind of respect that. The people who bought the games, the people who are hyping this up, they are hyping it up because it is Mass Effect, and it sorta isn't fair if you're not providing Mass Effect. To go further into that, another point would be players shouldn't be goaded by PR companies into buying what is essentially a different game with the Mass Effect license slapped on it, again if we're talking about Mass Effect. It's like changing genres, and this is something that I've talked to friends before about. When you create a game in one genre and then you shift it completely to another genre, how many people you disappoint, how many people you lose. Like the Castlevania series going from a 2D platformer to the, I think it's called the Lords of Shadows series, where it's 3-dimensional and basically an action game. there's a point to say that you disappoint a lot of people by making that sort of decision. And then the last point I want to make is, if it claims to be the successor, now this I cannot say for Andromeda. I do not have any knowledge of them flat out saying we are going to be the successor of the the original Mass Effect trilogy. But if a game ever did claim to be the successor, then that means more than just taking the title of the series and the general location you're placed in. You know, in terms of Mass Effect Andromeda, taking the races and, you know, the lore and then just going in a whole different direction with it. I don't think that's right. But that's my little yes or no. Again, leave in the comment section how you feel about it. I want to do one little extra thing though, because today I saw the, was it not IGN, but some convention footage of Mass Effect Andromeda, and first of all, it was oh god, it was boring. I'm sorry for those people, but I got off work, I tried to watch it, I think I fell asleep maybe a third into it, but the little bit I did see, an important thing that I thought was really nice that whoever the spokesperson was talking about was that they don't want players to game the dialogue system. And this is something that I think is really good, because in the original series, since you had the Paragon and Renegade setting, Paragon and Renegade bars, it really did feel like you were gaming the system. If you were playing a good guy, you just went straight Paragon. If you're playing a bad guy, you went straight Renegade. And that didn't feel organic in my mind. Sometimes I played a hybrid character, but in the end, you have that massive Paragon or Renegade score requirement for some sort of really cool interrupt or really cool dialogue option at the very end of the game, and if you play it down the middle and try to roleplay, you just don't have access to it. So that kind of sucked. So if they're gonna try to make it so you don't gamify the dialogue system, I like that. The dialogue wheel, the dialogue wheel might be cancer to RPGs, but that's a topic for another day. The next point would be for just the coverage of that particular footage. Oh boy, the characters. Wow, those visual designs. Now, I have not been one to bash Andromeda's art style. I'm really trying not to. I'm trying to look at it with a positive outlook, but seeing them animated. Now, the characters look cartoony, but I'm kind of okay with that. But when they're animated, when they're talking in those cutscenes, at least from the footage they showed, oh my god, those characters fall so far in the uncanny valley, the light fails to reach them anymore. Jesus, it was unsettling. Yuck. And I guess the final thing I caught from it was the idea that they're doing something different with the stories of the main character. And, you know, obviously they're doing something different, but from an overarching standpoint, they made a point of saying that Shepard started the game as a hero. He was already something that, you know, not the council, but the Alliance had known of. He had done something really cool, and then he was being held up for the Spectre program. From there, your adventure ends up at the end of 3 with you being a legend. You are near a god. But with the new guy, I think his name is Ryder. Yeah, the Pathfinder. He's, I'm not gonna say an average person, but he's close to that. And they're trying to go from the average person to a hero. They said it was more relatable from the players. Personally, I love the power fantasy. I loved being the god that was Shepard, but hopefully I can enjoy being the hero that is Ryder. And yeah, that's really what I got from that video, and that's my opinions on whether or not you need to compare these to the previous titles. Again, one last time, I said it I think twice now, leave your opinions in the comment section, and I guess I'll leave you with what's probably gonna be the title for the review. This game's not your daddy's Mass Effect, for better or for worse. I'll see you next time.